Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Banter Fodder podcast. I'm your host, Drew, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Michael Hoover Dam and Jimmy Jam, the Walker, Texas Ranger Man.
Hello.
And we're back.
Yes, we are. And what a perfect time to be back because, man, there's a lot of stuff that's happened. A lot of big movies have released, including this really small indie film called The Odyssey that we're maybe going to talk about. I don't know.
What's that weird picture behind you? I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't get it. It's a metaphor or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, though, it's been a while, so let's hear what you guys have been watching. Michael, let's start with you because you look really excited.
Y'all, I have been watching a lot, and I'm
crazy.
I'm really happy to finally be able to be on this side of things. Let me pull up my my old letterboxd here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so started off. This is just going back about 2 weeks. Okay, so started off with just a fun. I don't know why I got a specific Michael Jackson song in my head, stuck in my head, and then that song made me want to watch Free Willy. So I did.
This preface in the same year as Michael breaking like $1 billion, and then just when you're expecting that, I caught Michael. I watched Free Willy.
I got you. And honestly, I'm glad that I watched Free Willy instead of Michael. I don't even care about Michael. No, seriously though.
You don't care about yourself?
I don't care about Michael. Michael's bad. Really,
Yeah,
really bad.
Yeah, that's why we kicked him off of the pod.
No, so Free Willy, it's a great watch. It actually ages pretty well. It's a little bit cornier than I remember, but it's also like it hits pretty good too at the same time. And some of the music was actually legitimately, I was like, man, the score to this was pretty great. So really, I really like Free Willy, y'all. I gave it three stars. I gave it 3 stars. But I could go up to 3.5 maybe.
That's not bad for a Willy that's free. And you know,
And
you gotta hope that it hits pretty good.
Oh man. So couple of nights later, I don't know why I had I got the itch to watch Superman Returns. I came across like some bonus features on YouTube, like the making of, and I started watching some. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch this and see how it turned out. Like I haven't seen it since the theaters in 2006, I believe, is when it came out. And I remember liking it, but I don't remember what I actually really thought details-wise about it. So going back and watching it, there was so much there. There's so much potential. Like I was watching it for the first 30, 45 minutes, and I was like, guys, I might love this. Like this, there's some good stuff here. Like there's a couple of all-time like Superman moments, like where he saves the airplane, in the baseball stadium, and then like the eyeball, the gun, the bullet in the eyeball, and some really, really good stuff. I really liked a lot of the set pieces, and the pieces were there, but ultimately I feel like the movie kind of fell flat after a while. For me, it really is like after a while I was like, wow, nothing really does happen in this movie. Like people say that in a joking, like in like a serious manner, and I tend to roll my eyes when people say stuff like that because I'm like, you probably weren't paying attention. This is a long movie, and like by 2 hours in, I was like, is this done yet? And it wasn't, and it wasn't even close. And I was like, I'm really feeling it and I like long runtime movies. So it definitely got really dull at some point, and it never got back for me. And I think ultimately, like, I really do like pieces of it, and I think honestly I like enough of it to give it a positive score. There's enough of good pieces there, but ultimately I get why that movie gets the criticism as it gets. I give it 3 stars. Solid, but not. I get the criticisms now. Okay. I watched The Prince of Egypt on a whim, and it's still awesome. We talked about that on the podcast. I don't have to go into that. So then leading up to the Odyssey, I decided I should watch some Christopher Nolan, and I watched Dunkirk for the first time since theaters. And man, I enjoyed that movie when I saw it in theaters, but I did not. It never was a top tier Christopher Nolan movie, and it's still not. To me, it's not top tier. But what are we talking about here? Christopher Nolan's like mid tier is most people's, like, I don't know. This movie rocks. Like Dunkirk, the tension. It's like one of our friends said it perfectly. It's like it mastered tension and release so well. Like there are multiple points throughout the movie, the tension was so high, and it just, the way that it released every time was just like perfection. And I felt more than I remembered feeling in this movie. I felt more than just anxiety. Like I definitely remember feeling anxiety, like in the scene where they're like drowning on the boat, like the multiple scenes where they're drowning on boats and ships. I remember all that stuff, but I did not remember the like the father and son that go across the like, I did not remember their side of things very well. And like to see all of those civilians coming over and just fulfilling their duty to country and like trying to bring their boys back home. And I was like, I'm go Britain. Like I was feeling very patriotic in that moment, but then I was like, but that's not our country, but I don't care. There was some moments where I was just like fist in the air, like, let's freaking go. And I don't remember feeling that way the first time I watched it. So this movie definitely hit hard on this watch. I gave it 4.5 stars. I watched Insomnia finally for the first time. I freaking love it. I'm mad that it took me so many years to get to it, but James kind of sold me on like, okay, I need to push this up to the top of my list, because he was like, you said something about it's like murder mystery in the upper northwest or something, and I was like, sold. Yeah. Like I don't know why, but I love all of that. And
it's Nolan's Twin Peaks.
That's the sequel series.
Exactly.
Twin Peaks. But yeah, I Pacino, that might have been my favorite. So I think that might have been my favorite. I don't know. He's got heat though. He's just great. He's just so good. He really shows his like his full range of abilities in this movie. I think he's incredible. And I texted the guys early into the movie. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen Al Pacino this likable. And by the end of the movie, I was like, he's not as likable anymore, but I still love him. But like, you know, most of the time in his best roles, he's, you know, complex at that, at best. Like he's, you know, in Heat, like he's not technically the villain, but he's not a good guy, like really. And so like it's like, really? I mean, like it's kind of in that movie, you're rooting. In Heat, you're kind of, at least for me, I was always like, I understood. I kind of feel like there was this kind of flip-flop. You got the criminal who seems like a good guy, like a nicer man, and then you have the cop who's like kind of like a awful family man and like in kind of a jerk. So like you have, you know, it's kind of this weird dichotomy there. Like, I don't know who to root for in this. And it is very like an incredible character in it, but he's not like the best guy. He's a seasoned cop and he's seen a lot of crap. And, but he's also obsessed. He's obsessed. And he, multiple marriages in and all that, like he can't let it go. And so like, all that to say, with this character, I felt like he was much more likable at the beginning, and then stuff happens, and it's really good. I love all that to say. Insomnia is really good. 4.5 stars again. This is going to get repetitive. Skipping the one that we are talking about tonight, I watched Batman Begins again. It's so good. 4.5 stars. I watched The Dark Knight. 5 stars. Incredible. Speaking of heat, lots of heat in Dark Knight. And I love watching. I've only seen Heat a couple of times, and it's been within the past few years. This was the first time I've watched The Dark Knight since I've seen Heat. And I was like, wow, it really is all over the place in this movie. And it's not at all a bad thing, but you can tell Nolan really loves that movie.
Yeah.
And then I watched Dark Knight Rises, and I really, really like that movie. I think it has flaws, and I think most of them are in the third act. I don't think that the Talia thing works on any level. I know it's coming, and I still am like, okay, I'm trying to piece this together as it's going. No, this doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And I think it would have been far stronger just to keep Bane as the bad guy, like as the big bad. He kind of cowers away at the end there, and it's not great. So, and then, I think it's just trying to do too much. I think there's a lot going on in the third act, and it just doesn't know, there's not a focus like there is in The Dark Knight. But man, I love the very end. The Bruce's, spoiler alert, Bruce's sacrifice, and then Alfred seeing Bruce at the table like he talked about in his vision and stuff like that. I loved that stuff. That's it, like, gets me. So I do think it's the worst of the trilogy, but it's still super good, and people say it's bad and they're weird and
no, I feel like it's kind of got a resurgence of appreciation lately.
Good, like the prequels.
yeah, because Jar Jar Binks is in this movie. Misa back. That's what.
Where are the other drugs going? Swear to me, okay, day. But yeah, 4 stars on that one. I really loved it. Just not quite as solid. It's a lower tier Nolan movie, but those are all great. So that's what I've been watching.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Sorry it took so long, but I actually had a lot. So
sounded like Jim for once.
I know.
All right, Jim.
That's what that feels like.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it?
Oh man. Okay, so don't worry, everybody. This has been an incredibly busy season of life. I am at 3 films total for July.
Ooh, my.
And one of them is what we're talking about tonight. So, I went out and saw Young Washington, full of it, it's AI images and everything. That aside, it's a competently, generally put together movie. That's what it is. So I saw that, you just go out with the fam sometimes. And then I watched Green Lantern Emerald Knights, the animated movie. It's another movie that they made, and it's an animated one, and it's about some different Green Lanterns, and it happened. So
nice.
Yeah.
Man,
a lot of
that's some cinema right there, bro.
Oh yeah, you better believe my Letterboxd average is skyrocketing right now.
Yeah, all 5 stars right there, right?
Yep.
Maybe combined.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah. Okay.
That's epic. my July has been all over the place. Just in terms of the types of movies and TV that I watched. I watched Evil Dead Burn. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I thought I was gonna love it, and they had me for a bit, and then they lost me in the third act. It's fun. It's like super entertaining, but it's not as good as it could have been.
I've yet to hear the why on that movie. Like the why this one? It just doesn't sound like it justifies itself very well.
Not really, which is unfortunate. Especially because like I won't give anything away, but they like tie things together to other things, but like it doesn't really do much with that. Anyways, though, rewatched Agent Cody Banks. That is a movie that exists.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's fire. It's fire.
Dude, you tell me you don't want to see Blue Paul Giamatti?
Yeah.
Wait, that's Big Fat Liar.
Oh, dang it. Yeah. Dude, I have no memory. That was like my one touchstone for Agent Cody Banks.
It's Frankie Muniz that you just mixed up the movies.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Watch Big Fat
Liar. But yeah, Agent Cody Banks, I can't believe it's a movie that is real because there's humor in it that's insane. Like just so many innuendos that like I don't know how this is in a kid's movie. Obviously watched the Odyssey. I watched because I was on the Greek epic poem kick. I was like, you know what? I'm going to double down on that. So I watched Jason and the Argonauts from the 60s, and I really enjoyed the heck out of it. It's got some awesome practical effects and some cool sets. Just like a really fun adventure vibe to it. And then I also watched the original Clash of the Titans from the 80s, and it's awesome as well. Yeah. Really cool practical effects, really cool sets. I think I may have liked it a smidge more than Jason and the Argonauts because it felt a little bit more cohesive in its story. Jason and the Argonauts feels a little like disjointed in that like it kind of just feels like a series of events happening, but like I don't know, it's just not like as contained as Clash of the Titans is. And I think I like the premise of Clash of the Titans a little bit more too. But really enjoyed both. 3.5 stars. They just have like classic movie magic to them that we just don't really get today anymore. And then I rewatched Nope, and I ended up going from a 4.5 star to a 5 star.
Oh my.
Yeah, this is the third or fourth time that I've watched it, and every single time I've watched it again, I've loved it even more. And I always pick up on more and more like layers in its themes and its subtext. And I think that there's just a lot to unpack in the film. And it just begs for rewatches.
Nope.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly.
I couldn't help it.
I think it's just excellently crafted. I don't know. I really do think it's Peele's best yet.
It's my favorite. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. I still think like Get Out might be my favorite just in terms of like I want to rewatch that one more, but it like kind of is that movie where you're like, oh, this is the like really fun one. And Nope is fun too, but it's like a different vibe and it's a little bit slower than something like Get Out is. But yeah, I love that movie. It's like the perfect Spielberg Twilight Zone vibe. And I don't know. I love that kind of horror that Peele goes for in it.
Never seen Get Out.
You should change that. You should change that.
Yeah, I know. I intend to.
It's good. I think you'd really like it. Yeah. And then I've been watching Nirvana, the band, the show. And this show is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm almost done with season 2, and then I'm going to watch the film that came out last year. but this is like one of the funniest shows that I've seen in a while. I don't know, it's my kind of humor. So highly recommend it if you guys haven't seen it. It's basically about these two characters who have a band called Nirvana the Band, and they always make it a point that it's not Nirvana, it's Nirvana the Band. And there's a venue that they're trying to play at. And every episode, they come up with some crazy new plan. Ah, cool. My webcam went out again.
Yeah, I was wondering. You froze like a minute ago.
Anyways, though, I'll fix that in a second. But
in post.
Yeah, I'll fix it in post. So every episode, they're trying a new plan to start playing at this venue. And it's just the stupidest stuff every time. And it's like a narrative show just in terms of their characters, they're playing characters, they're telling a story, but they're filming as if it would be something like Nathan For You, where they're filming with like just regular people out in Canada and like getting their reactions to things. So I've never really like seen anything like it, where it kind of like feels like a mockumentary, but like at the same time they're also just filming people out in public. I don't know, it's really funny. And then Spider-Man's coming out the weekend of this recording, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna rewatch the Tom Holland trilogy. So I rewatched Homecoming.
Great movie.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Homecoming
I forgot
is
how
awesome.
much I loved it. It's great. And it has like the perfect low stakes that like I want from a Spider-Man movie like this. So I loved it. Before recording tonight, I rewatched Far From Home. And when that movie came out, and I saw it a few times, like I saw it in theaters and then I rewatched it at some point, like after it came out. And I remember like really, really loving it, like having it at 4.5 stars, loving it. On this rewatch, I didn't love it as much as I thought I did. And I think a lot of it probably came from my reactions of like the big like reveals, especially that after credit scene that they have. And it definitely feels like the kind of movie where it feels better for if you're watching it in a theater with a bunch of people. Homecoming, I can't say the same. Homecoming does feel more like you could watch it in a big theater and have a great time with an audience, or you can watch it from home. Far From Home kind of starts moving towards like this feels a little bit more like an event that's just made for theaters. And there's a good amount of the humor that actually does really work for me. And then there's some where I'm like, oh man, like that's just kind of random. Like there's just this civilian, or maybe it was like one of the students, I can't remember, but he like made some joke about like, I don't know, but he's kicking that water guy's ass or whatever. And I'm just like, it was so random because it just randomly cut to that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. And then like the sequence with Nick Fury, where everyone like, when the teacher walks in, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But then like 5 other people knock on the door like every few seconds. And I'm like, okay, I feel like you're pushing it a little bit. Like it was kind of funny like the first and maybe the second time, but like now, so like there's stuff like that in there that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And yeah, so I don't know, I really like the movie a lot. I didn't love it as much as I did like the first few times that I watched it. And I think Homecoming is definitely the stronger of the two.
Yeah, I love Homecoming, and I like Far From Home. Okay, but it's definitely kind of on the kind of lower end of the MCU for me. I do struggle with a lot of the humor in that movie, and I there's a level of just stretching like believability that happens all over the place, where it feels like it's, every person who could have seen something has their head turned. And isn't it funny that everybody looked the wrong way at just this thing and this thing happened over here. Like, it feels like reality is not real and it's all for the sake of a bit in it. Like
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then I do think that at some point it started to milk the Stark stuff a little bit much. Like I love the Stark presence in Homecoming.
Yeah, I think
like a lot.
Yeah, Tony's presence in
kind of taking the
Homecoming
Uncle Ben role a bit in that movie. I love that. Something about him leaving what is it called? Edith? Is that what it's called in the movie?
Yes.
Trusting a high school child with that thing, it strains a little bit of Stark credibility to me. Even though he's like, I don't know, Stark was always even hesitant to call him an Avenger. So like, I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then I do think that like, I love Homecoming. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. Genuinely love it. They leave New York and they're in Washington, D.C., I think, right? For the third act of that movie. And then for this one, they go overseas and they're in where did they go for this one? I can't even remember.
They went to multiple
Europe.
Places.
Yeah.
Milan.
All over the place. Yeah.
Prague and the UK.
Yeah. Just like all over Europe. And then so for me, I felt it's not that in and of itself is necessarily a bad thing, but when you add it up with the other stuff, it's like, okay, I just miss like Spider-Man in his neighborhood, I kind of miss that. We didn't get it in Homecoming, which was fine because it's a great movie, but now we're not getting it in this. We're overseas. It's just there's something that's missing when he's not in that area. Like as much as I love Infinity War, he's in space and he's in all this and that's a different thing. But what I'm saying? Like there's something about Spider-Man in New York City. I feel like, which this is why I'm really excited for this next one. And to be fair, No Way Home too. He was in New York for that one also. So not an issue there. But it's a welcome thing getting him back to New York City. But I did really feel all of that in Far From Home too. It is one of my lower rated, I think, Spider-Man movies, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I like some of the images with Mysterio. Like there was some really cool sequences there with Mysterio, and Jake Gyllenhaal's hamming it up. I liked him. He was really, really, really fun. I loved his monologue. It's so ridiculous. His monologue in the bar with all of his anti-Stark people.
Yep.
But yeah.
No, I thought he was a great Mysterio. But I was a little let down on this rewatch. I still like the movie a lot, but I just have a little bit more problems with it. But I'm excited for Brand New Day. I really hope it gets the feel that I think it's gonna have and that it seems like it's getting from reactions, but we'll see. I'll let you all know when we record again.
I had a sinking realization today, actually. Do I have to watch Daredevil Born Again and the Punisher thing before I watch this movie?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
No, I love Daredevil, so I want to watch the show. But I was like, crap, that's probably going to be that might be involved in this, actually, now that I think about it. I don't know.
No, I don't think it will be. Or at least not on a scale that is super significant.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, let's get to the Odyssey. It's time.
Let's freaking go.
So yeah, we finally, the Odyssey's out, and it's, since this recording, probably at about 700 million. By the time this episode comes out, it's going to be close to 1 billion. Which is crazy in its first few weekends. It's getting some historic numbers for a lot of things. And I don't know, it's exciting seeing so much hype around it. especially because there was a lot of discourse online, very silly discourse online leading up to the movie. And a lot of people were betting against Nolan, and it's like, why would you do that? He's Nolan. You've loved all of his movies up until this point. He's not going to let you down. And yeah, I don't know. It just shows just the absolute silliness of Twitter and online discourse in the film community. Wow, that was a bad voice crack there.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
And yeah, so there's a lot of that leading up to the movie. There's also a lot of hype around it because it is a new Nolan. It's a new adaptation of Homer's Odyssey, and it's the first film fully shot in IMAX. So there's a lot of cool things to be excited about leading up to it.
Just an update. As of this moment, it's at 666 million.
That's cursed.
Yeah, we got to get it above that number there.
Yeah.
And it is sitting at 94% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes with 453 reviews.
Yeah.
97% audience with 10,000 plus verified ratings.
That's fantastic.
So, that's insane.
Yeah. So the haters can eat rocks.
Hate.
Yeah.
They're all like, I hate this movie, and then they get their letterboxd open. 5 stars.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I love you.
Oh man. But yeah, so leading up to the movie, I read the Iliad and the Odyssey. Didn't particularly love my translation, and from what I read online, it's not like the fan favorite by a lot of people, and it's not even like the scholarly favorite per se. So I'm gonna definitely have to reread those with some other translations eventually. But I'm really glad I did read them leading up to this, because there was so much that I really appreciated Nolan capturing. And then there's also, I got to see the changes that he made, which he does make some changes. And, you know, some people have a lot of things to say about it. But yeah, I went into this with astronomically high expectations just because it's Nolan. It's his follow-up to Oppenheimer, which I think it probably is his best. And which is like hard to say because he's got so many greats. So I was excited to see, like, okay, how's he gonna do the next one? And yeah, I had these insane expectations, went into it, saw it in IMAX, and absolutely had my mind blown by the end of it. I walked away, couldn't stop thinking about it, still can't stop thinking about it, and it's just one of those movies where you know that you just saw something special that is like a once in a lifetime thing that you'll get to experience on the big screen. So I loved it. What did you guys think about it? Jimmy Jam, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I thought it was great. I had read the Odyssey before. I was going through it again through the audiobook, and I was nervous initially because I was like, is he going to try, is this going to be a historical The Odyssey? You know, are we losing out on a Cyclops? Are we losing out Scylla? You know, or like, is he going to go so realistic? And, you know, he kind of does his Nolan thing as far as like the gods are concerned, but we get an incredible giant Cyclops, and it's awesome. It's so memorable. And we get one of the most like unsettling scenes ever with Cersei.
Yeah.
Like, so he lets the encounters that stick out from the book be what they are, just in terms of, you know, the fantastical element of it. And, he lets the 3-hour runtime do what it needs to, and you really feel, you feel the journey, and you feel the waiting with Telemachus and Penelope. And yeah, it's an incredible production with incredible direction, some really fantastic performances that stick out. I think John Leguizamo is like really earning all of the hype that I saw about his role leading into it. I think he's fantastic. I think Robert Pattinson is already giving us like the new gifts to be used. Could somebody get this beggar out of here? I love him in it.
Get the swords.
The spears. I don't know. Anne Hathaway as Penelope was another like real high point for me.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
incredible.
So yeah, I thought it was really great. It isn't quite. It's not for me vying for like the number one spot that some others of his are, but I still think it is just an incredible film with. That does a lot of interesting things as an adaptation, and is just it's so I don't know, it's so memorable. I think it's going to be remembered. So yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think I read the Odyssey. I read the Iliad. I remember reading the Iliad for sure in college. I think I read the Odyssey, like maybe part of it. I don't think I finished it. So I was going into this completely like more of just like a movie fan. Okay. Like I really hate that. Like I wish that I had more knowledge of those specific stories, because I remember loving the Iliad in college. And I always was like, I always wanted to like sit down and actually really read both books. Or poems, but I loved the Iliad, and so I always just pictured Christopher Nolan handling something like this. I can only imagine. Just it's perfect to me, like in theory, right? And then the stuff started happening, the discourse around the movie that was mostly just really, really dumb and just not even based on anything factual half the time or most of the time. And so that stuff kind of like, I sat down in the theater to watch the movie and I was nervous, not because I have faith in Christopher Nolan. I believed that I would most likely love this movie, but there was more of a nervousness for me because I wanted this movie to do well, just because I hated how the discourse was going and I wanted it to literally stick it to them, and I think I got that. I think we're good on that front. But like, yeah, once the movie started, 5 minutes in, I was like, yeah, I'm good. We got nothing to worry about here. And I don't know if I've ever had a theatrical experience quite like this one. It's not like it, like I can remember where I was sitting during Avengers Endgame and Cap pulls Mjolnir to him and all that. Like I can remember that moment. I can remember sitting literally at the top of the theater because there were no more seats available, at the very last row in the back corner of The Dark Knight, and there was not assigned seating back then. So like literally you just come get your seat. I remember watching The Dark Knight and being like, at the end of the movie being like, holy frick, what did I just watch? Like just like in shock, in awe. So like those are like some of the like really memorable theatrical experiences for me. And this was different because it's not, when I got done with the movie, I did feel some of those feelings, but it was more during the movie. I don't know if I've ever had something quite so visceral in a theatrical experience. I wasn't even sitting in like what do they call it?
The D box.
The D box. See, I wasn't even sitting in those.
I hate that.
And-
anyways.
No, I can't. I'm too much of a purist almost to do it. But like, I could still like in some of those storm scenes, I could feel like the rumbling and stuff like that. I could feel like my body like rumbling, and I felt like I was there on that ship. And there's just so few filmmakers who can make you feel that way, like to know, like, and I'm not a person who's like all CGI is bad. Like, no, there was even CGI in this, but as much in the camera as possible, and just there's something about it. It really does add to your experience as a viewer, and to the experience of the actors acting in the scene. There's so much that it adds to a film to do as much as you can, at least on camera. And I think that just his commitment to that, actually being like on the ocean and actually being in these giant, like actually being in these ships and actually going to these locations, I was just dumbfounded by how beautiful this movie was and how much I felt of the experience of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything James said, the Cyclops and Cersei, I did not know. Like I said, I don't think I read the books, but that name, I remember that name. And so when she said her name, I think she said her name, I was like, oh, this is bad news. Like, I know this, this is in my head. Like, I know about this somehow. And I was right. That was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Not as terrifying as the other Mommy trailer, by the way, that I was forced to watch. Not going to be seeing that one. Can't do this. Oh man. But no, this movie, y'all. We'll talk about specifics. I just wanted to say, like, everything we've said about the production, there's so much more to movies than just the production side of things, but that it is such a star of this movie. I just want to make sure we give all of it its due, because it deserves it, every bit of it.
Yeah.
And also, like we already mentioned too, the performances. Anne Hathaway, I am a fan. I think she's out of that phase now, but there was a time where people thought it was cool to hate on Anne Hathaway. I feel like there was like a moment in time, and
I don't know why, because she did Princess Diaries.
And that movie rocks. And I'm not even being ironic. I love Princess Diaries. But I've loved her from everything I've ever seen her in, just about. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I don't feel the need to defend her anymore so much. But she is now like doing things that I never saw her do. Like, even though she's always been great, this was a whole different level. She blew my mind. I think she, for me, was the standout. Of course, John Leguizamo as well. Because I've only seen him in Jon Favreau related projects, like where he's just fun John Leguizamo, and he's really great in Chef, like really, really fun. I love it. I love him in that, but he's just being him, and then he's in like a tiny moment of The Mandalorian, and I think that's
he's in the first and the second. I know he's at least in the first John Wick, and his presence in that movie is great.
Still need to see those.
You do. They're awesome.
But I was blown away with his performance. I thought he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Matt Damon was fantastic. I think that he might, I don't know. Y'all let me know. Maybe I'm the only one that feels this way. So many people stand out in this movie. I don't feel like he gets talked about as one that stands out as much, but he kind of holds down the fort in the way that a Leslie Knope does in Parks and Rec. Like, she's hilarious, but that show has April, and it's got Andy, and it's got Tom, and it's got Donna, and it's got Ron, and it's got all these other incredibly hilarious people. She's somehow kind of the straight man of that show, you know? But like, she holds it together. She is the glue. And I feel the same way, very different projects, but I feel the same way with Matt Damon here. I think that so many people, the girl that plays Cersei, I think
everybody's talking about her.
Yeah, she's incredible. She was so good. I think that there's a lot of people who had moments of this movie that are like, holy frick, that was like, wow. Yeah. But him through the whole movie to make us feel the kind of things that we felt for Odysseus. And I don't know, I thought he was awesome as that man, that kind of character. And I haven't seen him play that before.
And I think really, like, his performance in this film has so much range, because we see Odysseus at so many different like pivotal moments in his life. Mm-hmm. You see him as a king, you see him as like a leader, you see him when he's hunting with all of the boys, and like you see these moments where he is like this revered, like, great
tactical
leader,
mind, and
very, very calm and collected, and like he seems like the ideal like man, the ideal hero, the ideal king that you want to follow. So he's got like, or the ideal leader. So he's got like all these qualities to him, and you see that, but then you also get just this wide range in his performance. I think this is like a career best for him. I don't know if it's, I have to like really sit down and think about it, but like this has got to be in the conversation of one of his best performances, because you also get throughout his actual like journey trying to get back home, you get like, you see him age, you hear it, you feel it in his performance. And like, I even remember hearing him talk about in interviews that actually it was Robert Pattinson who mentioned this, but he said that Matt Damon, like, he would just hear him screaming in his trailer, and he thought he was like having like a bad experience on the toilet. But Matt Damon was just like basically trying to break his voice so that like in the scenes where he's older and like worn out and he's been through it all, like you can actually like feel that like in his voice. And I really do feel that, like, it's not just like visually he looks older, but like the way he moves and the way he talks, like you can just see that he has been through hell and back. So I think this is a brilliant performance from him. One of his best performances. And he obviously is like getting praised for his performance, but there are a lot of other people who, and I think maybe because they do have smaller roles, so because they have such a standout performance, they might stick out a little bit more because they have less screen time, and they they leave such a lasting impression. But like, I think Matt Damon's great. I think Tom Holland is great too.
He is. Well, real quick, just going back to what you just said, I that's one of the things to me that impresses me so much about Anne Hathaway's performance is that she didn't have a little bit of screen time. She was like, in a lot of ways, the main character of this movie. At least like it, she felt like it at times. And she just like it. Yeah, it wasn't just Matt Damon like holding down the fort with a lot of screen time and excellence. It was her too. She was, and to go along with what you were just saying too, and Tom Holland and people. I have seen a little bit of, and I don't know how y'all all feel about this. Hey, that's a good seat right there. I don't know how you guys felt about his performance completely yet, but I did see some, not a lot of hate on him, but I did feel like some people were like giving him a little bit of criticism on his performance, not saying it wasn't quite there for people. And I think he kind of played the perfect way for that role. I kind of felt like he's meant to be a prince who's not really ready to rule. Like that's like that, at least like that's his portrayal. That's at least the way this character was written for this movie. That's at least what I took from it. And I took Tom Holland as every time I saw him near a weapon or near like making a decision, I was like, ooh, is that the right? You shouldn't be doing that. Like to get away from that. Until he finally gets his moment where he beats up that guy at the end. That was great. But like, I felt like he played that character as well as anybody could. And I don't know that there's anybody who could play that in a way that's more appreciated. You know, I don't know. I'm sure there's other great actors who could do a great job with it, but I don't know. I thought for the role he was cast in, like he wouldn't have made a great, what's Rob Pattinson's character's name?
Antonius.
Yes, Antonius. Yeah, I don't think he would have made a great casting if he was cast as that character. But for this character, I thought he was excellent casting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. James, what did you think of Tom Holland performance?
I really liked him. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I thought I felt like he's the kind of actor who, you know, when he's 40, he's probably still going to look like he's 23.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, it really, really lends itself to the role of Telemachus. Cause like it has to be somebody who can be both. He has to be convincing on either side of the arc. And I think he is. I think he's convincing as the guy who's like young enough to where it's like, wait, do we even call this guy a man, or is he still kind of like a boy? And then we have to look at him on the other end of it as like, okay, yeah, he's come into his own. Because so really, this is in so many ways a coming of age story for Telemachus. Like it's a homecoming story for Odysseus, but it's a coming into his own as a man story for Telemachus. And I think he's really good. And I think there is something youthful that I still just think he captures as an actor in a way. Like they're, you know, movies set in high schools or movies set in, like anytime we're trying to capture just a sense of like authentic like youth, I always feel like he captures it better than almost anybody else. I'm like, yeah, he's not putting it on. And so like when he's kind of getting into it with his mom, you know, or whenever he's looking at, I really liked the, you know, anytime he felt like people were really helping him and he's like, you know, you've got wise eyes, Athena's eyes. Like he's kind of like on the lookout. Like you could be Athena. You like, he's this young optimistic, or he's growing more optimistic about chances at different points. And I really liked him. I do think, John Leguizamo and Anne Hathaway and Robert Pattinson are the standouts overall. I like Matt Damon a lot as Odysseus. And I think the thing he captured best was that sense of like just exhaustion by the end, you know, like you feel like this guy, like whenever he is like, hey, we should do this, and they're like, no, we're gonna go through the rocks, and then that skill happens, and they're like, you knew, and he's like, yeah, and it's freaking hard, you know, and nobody's gonna listen to me. You're like, this is a guy who's been aged, you know, a lot over this journey. So yeah, I thought he was really good. There weren't really any performances that I didn't think were good overall. I did well. So what's funny is the two performances that do feel a little, I don't know. I love his physical presence, but I don't know what Benny Safdie was going for as Agamemnon. But I didn't really feel Lord Agamemnon, Lord of Men, from his performance, or even like, I know he's from Hades, like he's in Hades, but it felt somebody was like this guy comes from the Rod of the Hut school of acting, which I thought was
Oh no.
of just.
Oh,
But
no.
there was a sense of like, don't make the mistake that I did. Show up, look around, evaluate. Don't live. Man, if only we
I'm
could
not
have
my
gotten.
father.
I was about to say, if only we could have gotten Telemachus over there and be like, "Don't be your father. Don't live in the shadows." And then I love this guy as an actor, but I did also feel like John Bernthal was more John Bernthal than Menelaus.
Yeah,
Like
I got that too.
he's
Yeah.
like, hey, well, can you tell me about my dad? Let me tell you something. Just like it's just. I was listening to somebody talk about it, and he's like, it's John Bernthal just playing like a Vietnam vet, but as John Bernthal, where he's like, you don't know nothing about Troy, son. Like just like
I watched the Hot Ones with him and Tom Holland. I kind of felt like Hot Ones was just like their characters. I felt like he was basically just the same person.
Yeah, and so and I like John Bernthal, and the good thing is whenever he plays himself authentically, like it's at the worst you can get is a misaligned performance, not a bad performance.
Sure, yeah.
And that's the thing here. It's not like, ooh, he's bad. It's
right.
This isn't really registering the way I think it should for the character. So there's just little performances like that. But generally I thought everybody was good. And then there were those handful of like, and then those are really like the kind of all is said and done. These are performances that really stick out.
Yeah. What's that guy's name again? His right hand man, Odysseus' right hand man for a lot of it on the ship in the crew.
Himesh Patel. He played in Tenet and yesterday. Yeah,
he was very good. I really liked him a lot, and I feel like with all these great performances all around, I feel like he's getting a little bit overlooked, but I thought he was excellent as well. I really liked him.
I think honestly the entire crew of Odysseus is great. I love their performances, and just seeing them
as pigs.
Like lose their seeing them as pigs, but seeing them lose their morale as like time goes on is great.
Something to say for like the size of the cast there, where it's like it's big enough where it's an ensemble. A lot of people don't have speaking roles, but you hire the same actors for the full shoot so that you can just tire them out over the course and be like, I don't know that guy's name or anything about him, but he looks way rougher right now than he did an hour and a half ago. And like it sells the journey, I think.
It really does. I really like how Nolan has recontextualized, and this is an area where like he does kind of take this adaptation into his own. I really like that he recontextualized who Odysseus's crew, well, just actually is it Mycenians who fought in the Trojan War? Mycenians, yeah. Who fought in the Trojan War. I like that he recontextualized them as being the men of the sea that everyone is, like the sea people that everyone is scared of right now, that is like burning down the Greek Empire.
Like their decision with the Trojan horse and all that offended the gods so much, and it was against Zeus's law.
Against Zeus's law, yeah. Because like Zeus's law is such like a big thing of the culture of at that time, and it literally the Greek word for it does literally translate to how they talked about like treating people as if they were like a god in disguise. And I really like, because like that like hospitality kind of mindset, it's such like a prevalent part in the poem. Nolan kind of like keeps that intact, but he does it in a different way. And I love the way that he recontextualizes things and has it where like Agamemnon sending the Trojan horse to kill all of the Trojans, they get in return what they gave. And I thought it was a great way to recontextualize it and give it like a little bit of a modern twist, just in terms of like, you know, Odysseus, the reason why he didn't go back home is because he had so much guilt and like shame for breaking Zeus's law and for all the like atrocities that they committed in the war and all that. And so like it really does feel like, and I know Nolan's like talked about it, but this is like a companion piece to Oppenheimer. Like Odysseus is Oppenheimer in this film. And so like going from Oppenheimer to this, where you're dealing with two characters who have just this massive weight on their shoulders of like, you know what, Oppenheimer brought he brought the end to the world, and then Odysseus brought the end to the Bronze Age. I don't know, I thought that was a really interesting take, and it makes it feel like its own. And I think it's gonna stand the test of time because Nolan is taking this approach with it. So that's just like a change that he made that I really appreciated for his take. And I know that like not everyone likes that because it's not one-to-one with Homer's poem, but I think it really works for this story that Nolan was telling, especially for like something that feels a little bit more grounded, even though it does have the big fantastical moments. And like I do think, at least in my opinion, I do think that like the Greek gods in it are real. They just may not, like the Athena thing is like that manifestation in his mind of like his guilt and everything, his PTSD basically. But like the Cyclops yelling out Poseidon and like all of these different like fantastical things that are in it, like sure, maybe it is like all in their mind or whatever, but that's not the way that I read it, and I don't think Nolan necessarily is either. So I don't know, I just really like Nolan's take on the story and giving his own spin on it, because it doesn't feel like, you know, he shied away from the fantastical elements.
That was something that I was in a constant back and forth during the movie about, and I've ended up in a place where I'm like, actually, I think this is really cool, and I really like this. It does feel like an adaptation of the Odyssey's plot and not an adaptation of the Odyssey's themes. And I think if you're willing to accept that, it does become, I think it's not just a cool companion piece to Oppenheimer, but I think it becomes a companion piece to the original story. Where, and there's, you know, a lot of people who are like, you know, can't we just, you know, like, why do we have to criticize, you know, it's a great work of the Western canon, why are we so upset? Like, why is the movie so upset at Odysseus, blah, blah, blah. What's really interesting is, you know, you have the Odyssey, and then you have Dante's Divine Comedy, and Dante places Odysseus in the Inferno because of the deception. And he is not all high on Odysseus. He thinks he's a terrible person. And then, you know, you have the ending of the original story. He stays there. He's committed to Ithaca. He doesn't go sailing off. And so it's like, well, no, Odysseus learned his lesson. He wouldn't leave. Why is he leaving Ithaca? And then it's like, well, then there's the Tennyson poem, Ulysses, about how he does leave Ithaca because he's too much of an adventurer at heart. Like, the Western canon is constantly revising itself all the time and in conversation with itself. And somebody doesn't like Odysseus the way the first guy did who told the story. And so then he tells a story about him. Like, and it's just like, to me, Nolan is just the next voice in that ongoing conversation of like, well, yeah, but what if Odysseus felt bad about it? And that part didn't make it into the tale, you know? And so it's, I think, you know, we've got a storytelling tradition that allows for that and encourages that. So I think Nolan is well within his rights to do that. I think there were just a handful of parts where I did think they, and it may be more of a taste thing than a critical thing. I did think that they went a little too psychoanalyzing or just psychologizing everything of like, you know, Athena does appear to him many times in the story. And then now for Athena's apparitions to him to simply be the manifestation of his guilt. And then, you know, the siren song, in reality, the siren song, it's a song that you want to go to, you know, you're like, whatever that is, I'm down. And then now it's, you know, it's the weight of all of the promises never fulfilled and the men left. But like, it's every, you know, along the way, things that were simply just a part of the adventure. They become these like like these outward manifestations of all of like the inward, you know, psychological struggle and stuff. And it's a choice. And I think it is generally pretty consistent across it. There were just a few times where I'm like, that couldn't have just been that. Did we have to be like, and this is another tortured aspect of his mind. And I did think as well that like, because this Odysseus is just a very different person from the Odysseus of the original story, like his great sins of the original story are his hubris and his adventurism. The original Odysseus is not sad about the Trojan War or the horse. He thinks he did the coolest thing anybody's ever done, and he probably thinks that to his dying day. And he's so high on himself that like he tricks the Cyclops with the whole, like in the original story, you know, the Cyclops asks him his name, and he's like, my name is nobody. And then he pokes his eye out, and when the other Cyclopses come around, they're like, who hurt you? And he's like, nobody hurt me. Odysseus is like, I got you, you big idiot. And then on his way out, instead of just being like, hey, you got away scot-free, like you're good, he's like, oh, by the way, you big stupid idiot, remember forever, it was Odysseus who did this to you. And that is what kind of sets Poseidon against him, because he now has his name. And so it's kind of like all along, all of the issues at every point, like they're having the same adventures at every point. There's the Cyclops, there's Circe, there's all of this. But like what it means for his character and how he's reacting is almost always different, which again, I think is cool. But I do think like the one moment where they really did kind of butt up against like the Odysseus of this movie doesn't feel like he would do this, but like this is just one of the things that has to be here because it's so integral to the story, like it's so memorable. Like with the siren song in the original story, of course Odysseus is going to be like, I gotta hear it, and everybody's like, nobody's heard it and lived. And it's like, well, then I'm going to be the guy to hear it and live, you big idiot. Like I'm Odysseus, I can, because I'm cool and I'm awesome and I'm smarter than everybody else, and I need to hear it because it's a thing nobody else has done. And that's just not the Odysseus of this film. And so I don't feel like they, like in that moment, it didn't really feel like they gave him a reason to be like whenever he's like, nobody's heard it and lived, he's like, that's exactly why I'm going to be the first. I'm like, he said it like with a big smile on his face. And I'm like, I feel like you're pretty broken right now. Why are you all of a sudden, you're turning into book Odysseus and you're pretty jazzed about like hearing the song, but I don't buy you in this movie being all about it. I feel like you'd be like, everybody just cover your freaking ears, we're getting out of here. But they needed him because it's, you know, tying him to the mast is in the story. So every now and then there's those points where I do feel like they're struggling to try to place this new Odysseus into the other story, but I think they succeed way more often than they don't. So yeah, I overall really enjoy like the direction that Nolan went with it.
I don't have a lot to add. Both of y'all great points. I think that I think that if you're gonna do the Odyssey, I don't know what the point is. Just if you're just gonna tell it again in the same way it's already been told. I like seeing different iterations of stories that have been told in different time periods of the world. And so like I love the idea that yes, this is one of the most famous writings of all time, and it is but we're hearing a take on it through, I don't know, it's got a timelessness to me because the person doing it had his own not even agenda. I don't even think it's an agenda. I just felt like it's his own interpretation that he wanted to get out and he felt passionate about. And so he did that, and he did it in like the biggest way you can possibly do it. So
yeah,
we got the entertainment and we got a new point of view on it. And I think he succeeded in that. So,
yeah.
But yeah,
And we've also gotten like, we have Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which it's the Odyssey, but it's also
I need to
South,
see that still.
Got great music, and it's got George Clooney, and it's amazing.
I need to see that.
Yeah,
I still need to see it. I've actually been thinking about watching that one lately because I know it's kind of the Odyssey-ish. But I don't know. I don't know what that means. Like I don't know how that's possible.
You'll know.
So I'm excited to see
when you watch it. You'll know.
I'm very excited to see what that means.
Yeah, but no, like the reason why I bring that up though is because like we do get, like when we get different takes on it, it's awesome. Even if it's set in a completely different setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love what Nolan did here, and it feels like such a special spectacle. That also has a lot of really great small moments. Like all of the dialogue with Penelope is just fantastic. Like especially my favorite scene with Anne Hathaway in this is when she's talking to Telemachus and he tells her, all right, like here's the plan. You're gonna get married. That way I only have to deal with one of these guys and not all of them. And she just like, the way that she changes her inflection on her voice of like talking really loud and talking really softly and calmly, and that like, I don't know, there's moments like that in this film where it's very like calm, and you just get like some fantastic dialogue, close-ups of the characters speaking. So it's not always just like, it's shot on IMAX, so that means it has to be as big as possible. But like there's so much intention behind all of the shots in it. So it doesn't just feel like every shot needs to be a wide shot because we can fill up the entire screen. So yeah, I think the craft behind this on all fronts is amazing. And Jim mentioned it earlier, but like the Cyclops looks so freaking cool.
I really do think. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, to think that was also, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, there's no way that's not CGI. But then I was like, but if it is CGI, it looks really real. And turns out it's a giant, like, it's actually on camera somehow.
Yeah.
It's just like crazy.
You said earlier, it's not like there's this kind of, this, I don't like any kind of CGI at all, and it's all bad. But I really do think there is a sense in which sometimes maybe we overrate what we can, like how photoreal we can get with CGI, where like we can say, oh, that's photoreal, and and like we can look at an image and think it's CGI and be like, oh, it's basically photoreal, and then somebody could be like, no, that was real, and be like, what? That's real? Like it's like that we actually, it really does, it changes the way things look on the screen. Like you can, it's so hard to capture like texture, and see, it's so hard to feel like you can look at something that's all CG and to feel that all the real humans in that, if they reached out their hand, would they actually bump up against something? It's so hard to really be convincing that these things are occupying the same physical space. But if you get the weight and the texture that just comes with physical objects, all of a sudden, like, yeah, it does feel that way. And so just when they're running under his legs and everything, he's around, I'm like, these guys are in a cave with a giant cyclops. I don't know what to tell you. That's just the facts on the ground. That's what's happening.
Why, when you see the cyclops holding human beings and like biting their heads off, it feels so like, wait.
Yeah.
This is terrifying. It's because all the rest of it feels so real. Like he's actually doing that. These actors are dead.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's brutal and so threatening. And then the Cersei scene is just bonkers. How they achieved that with practical effects. I was like, this is so disturbing when she's like putting her hand down their throats and you're just seeing it unfold in front of you, like. Faces
I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, it's
horrifying.
Yeah. Oh,
and like even them eating the food was vile.
Yeah, there's like this buildup of like them getting more and more beast-like, animal-like while they're eating, and it started like getting more and more like chilling even before they started actually transforming. But I was like, I don't know, when she started actually doing all that, it was one of the creepiest things ever. But I thought so much of that scene is in the buildup of it, and the tension buildup of that leading up to it. You can just tell, like, even if you don't know anything about the story, like you can tell something's off here. They walk up to this house and there's like a tiger outside, and there's like it's like, what's going on here? Okay. And and then the way that she was acting is like, she's too nice. And then something's weird here. And then, like I said, just like the buildup of them eating started off as like, okay, well, they would eat like that. They're hungry soldiers who haven't eaten in days. Like, okay, that's fair. And then it got to where I was like, this is getting worse. And then it just bleeds into her transforming them, and it was that was one of the freakiest things I've ever seen in a movie. And I don't know, I haven't seen very many super freaky horror movies, but like that was crazy.
As someone who has, I was like, ugh, this scene makes me uncomfortable. This is terrifying.
And it's like it's a throwback to like the old the silicone effects, like of transformation scenes in like David Cronenberg movies, where it's just, you're just looking at stuff that's mimicking like fleshiness. And there's something about that, the transitional stage where they're still very humanoid, but with like the pig ears and like the snout and stuff. Like, this is so off. Things should not look like this. It's really good unsettling stuff.
Yeah. So there's all of those great practical effects, but then also the Battle of Troy and the Trojan horse and all of that stuff. Like the fact that they had a massive wooden horse that they had hundreds of people pull to the castle.
Everything in the interior was so good.
Oh yeah.
Dunkirk vibes a little bit.
Yeah, honestly.
And like, I didn't like realize it at first, but whenever the one guy gets stabbed in the horse, if you like pay really close attention, they like have like a cloth to like wipe off the blood, because I was like, there's no way like all the blood just came off when they like pulled the sword back out of the wood. But like someone,
I missed that.
yeah, someone, it might be Menelaus, but someone has a cloth to wipe
I
off
missed
the
that
blood.
too. I was wondering how
Yeah.
that happened. Okay, wow. Oh my
So
God.
there's like so many little details in that scene. That's just fantastic. And the way that the music like builds up in that, and the sound design, and it's just like constant like anxiety inducing, like
and say too, that image of the horse in the sand, I don't know what it is.
Iconic.
It literally is just iconic. Like that's the definition of iconic to me. It is so freaking cool. And the Trojan horse has been kind of a cool looking thing forever. That's the coolest looking. Like that is the iconic Trojan horse to me now. Like so cool.
And a fun fact, he modeled the image after the original Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
Yeah. The beach scene with the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
I love that.
No, it's awesome.
Can I just say too that during the Battle of Troy, when they open the gates and Agamemnon is standing there like freaking Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying about Benny Safdie's performance overall, but like his physical presence
it's
and
incredible.
the y'all, people can hate on that's not accurate, armor for the time or whatever. I don't care.
It looks awesome.
The cool factor says that is the coolest, most terrifying thing I've ever seen. I don't know, when that gate opened and you just see him there like that in the shadows. It's like it was awesome. I got chills.
Yeah, and it's great because like everyone who's on the other side of the wall, like on the inside of the castle, everyone on the inside, nobody knew that there was hundreds of people on the other side of the wall. All that the actors knew were that Agamemnon and like maybe a dozen, maybe 24 people are on the other side.
Oh, wow.
And so the reactions that they have were like the most genuine reactions you could possibly have, because more and more people just kept pouring through the wall, through the gate. And like there's just so much movie magic behind this, and like you don't see this level of like people on screen. Like we haven't had this in such a long time. And so it feels good to have like a movie this big. But yeah, I also love the final shot being the Trojan horse with like everything on fire in the background as well. Like, that's also another really iconic shot.
And speaking of something that I thought was so consistently well done that I was like, okay, that's like a thing that's like worth talking about, is the lighting of this film is kind of amazing. I think everything in like the Sack of Troy is incredible, just the harsh firelight. But I also really love it didn't stand out to me until he went to Menelaus's, and I realized, oh, this is what interiors look like because they don't have electricity,
right?
And so everything is so lit by firelight. And when you're looking at the production design, they've got like the different formed metals for the firelight to bounce off of. Just all of the interior celebration. I'm like, man, it's such a dark atmosphere. It's like there's no windows, there's no electricity, there's no lamps to turn on. This is a giant set, and the entire thing is lit by firelight. And I think it really did create a particular mood that would have been different if they were just, the gaffer was just like throwing up lights in the top and being like, it's right. It created an effect that I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah. And it's really cool too, because I know like us in our friend group, we often lament how often movies tend to go for hyper realism and lighting now, rather than like, you know, you
Blue
look at
spotlight, give me, please.
give me like blue lights with fog. I don't care. Like, I mean, James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, like, give me that stuff. I don't care if it's realistic. Like, who gives a crap? Like, I just want this to look good and awesome, and, you know? And so, like, I feel that way. However, this movie going for that, you know, kind of realism there, it actually made it more beautiful and really, really cool. Like, so, like, it's really tasteful and artistic at the same time.
All of the like nighttime stuff has like just this beautiful like blue like
moonlight.
Yeah, that
like the exaggerated moonlight.
Yeah,
exactly. That just looks incredible.
So it's they sneak it in there. They sneak in there. Yeah. That's
and it has such a like natural contrast in the colors to me, because you have just this warm like amber orange, like sometimes red from the fire, and then you get the contrast of that like blue light, and then like there's even shots of like the boat where it has the red sail, and then it's got the blue sky, and then they have like lanterns or like fire like torches on them. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
And so I think really it's about being intentional. And because I think so often right now, it's whenever it is so flatly lit, it's not because they're going for some sort of really beautiful naturalistic kind of thing. It's like they're just not really lighting the set very well, you know, because like when Terrence Malick makes a movie and he wants it all lit with natural light, it's like there's an intention behind it and it shows up beautifully in the film. It's not, well, we hung an overhead and, called it a day. And so like in this case, going for naturalism in those interiors, it made for the striking look, it made for giant open halls of stone with the flickering shadows of fire all over the place. And like, it's like, that's the effect. And it's realistic because in this instance, the realism is going to give you the amazing effect. And so you go for it. Yeah.
Can we talk about the third act? I guess really I just want to talk about how satisfying it is, because when he finds
the bow pluck,
that's literally like that's one of the most satisfying. I've told pretty much everyone that I has seen the movie that I talked to about it. When he plucks the bow, I in the theater just let out a completely involuntary like it was like it was kind of weird. But
it just like, made you instantly moan.
Like literally it was so satisfying, because I knew the moment that he did like that he did strung it up and stuff, I knew that was going to be satisfying. I just didn't know the bow pluck was coming. And so and every time they set that up in the movie, it's like my favorite sound effect of the whole movie. And
because it's the way it's incorporated into the actual track. The dun 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 dun.
It's brilliant, which is my favorite piece of this. That's my favorite part of his score, probably, to be honest with you, which we haven't talked about that. Maybe we should. When it got to that part, I literally was just like, this is the most satisfying thing that I've seen on screen in quite some time, to the point where I just was like, oh, like, yes, so good. And it's all because like the buildup was handled so well. Again, like the tension and release, he's just so good. He's gotten so good at this over the years. But like seeing him come home, reunite with, oh my gosh, the moment with Argos.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. When the little tail wags the one time. Oh my, dude. That got me pretty big.
Yeah. I think the biggest emotional moment to me was the little reunion with father and son right there too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. Yeah. That between the dog doing that and then the moment with him with the two of them.
Yeah.
Which is another a moment where it's like, no, look, Tom Holland's really good. Like he
dude.
can't let it show, and but he can't fight the tears welling in his eyes, and so that whole like keep your voice straight, keep things cool, but oh man, it's my dad. Like it's like that's a real performance.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Yeah. And I even love like the way that he calls him stranger at the end of that conversation. Like he has like a
welcome
smirk.
home, stranger.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then just to see the whole buildup of the contest or whatever before, with everyone else trying, the Thor's hammer thing in Age of Ultron. That was all really, really great. And but the look in Pattinson's eyes when the bow plucks, dude, so terrified.
I love the realization on the first guy on, I think it's Plubius, when he's just like, "You're Odysseus," like straight to the throat, like, oh, dang.
I knew that was gonna happen, not only because I read it, but like you can just tell like something's about to happen, but like it still caught me off guard when I didn't know he was ready to go ham like that then. I was like, dang.
Yeah,
I thought there was gonna be at least like one line from him or whatever, but no, he went for it, and then just the constant build of action at that entire sequence is unbelievable.
Yeah,
some of the best
Odysseus?
action some of the best action that Nolan's had. Yeah, and then what's the actor's name from Upgrade?
Logan Marshall Green.
Yeah, he's perfectly evil in this. I freaking hate his character, but like in the best way possible. And like the tension. He's the guy who is stealing the weapons, or
he walks so loud and he's like, "I told you."
Yeah. Okay. He's got the spurs.
Yep.
Yeah. He's basically Antonius's like right hand man. Yeah. But I love like even like not only is the action going crazy between Odysseus and all of the suitors, but then Telemachus is up there like fighting him, and I love the like hesitation that Telemachus has. Like he doesn't strike him right away, like he doesn't even try to kill him right away, which I think also says a lot about his character. And it wasn't from like a place of like him, trying to. It wasn't from like a place of him being naive or like weak, but it was like him actually being like smart, especially when it comes to the law of Zeus kind of approach too. So I think this whole third act is just one of the most satisfying that Nolan's had.
Yeah, I agree. Can I just say one? I did have I think my biggest gripe with the movie. Spoiler alert! I rated this 5 stars. This didn't take off anything from that for me. I will say, I'm a big Ludwig Göransson fan, and I know not everyone feels this way. In fact, some people feel the opposite of what I'm saying. I thought that this score was underwhelming from him. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, I do appreciate if you're going for the real, there's not orchestras at this time period. I like using instruments that were used around that time. And I thought that there were scenes that those were highlighted in really cool ways. I thought that a lot of the music is fine music. It's good music. It's not like it's not a bad score per se, but, I think I even like The Mandalorian better. Like his score of the Mandalorian movie better. Like I genuinely thought like his score in that movie freaking rocked. And he's got a high standard at this point. He's got Oppenheimer. He's got all this stuff with Mando is freaking great. Tenet, like, I don't know. He's very, very, very good. Sinners, one of my favorite scores in the past few years. So like, I'm a big fan of his, but I did feel like the decision that Christopher Nolan made in this to make this without an orchestra, I actually really felt that it kind of hurt the movie at a few points. Like there's just a few scenes that this is hitting pretty hard and this is great. But if there was orchestra here, I could die happy. You know, like I there's a few scenes where it just needed it. And I know that they didn't have orchestra. We had people saying F off in this movie. We had people saying daddy in this movie. I don't really care if orchestras were around or not. I think that in this movie, a couple of multiple points, I think a big sweeping score was the right call, and they missed out on it because of a weird rule that they kind of imposed on themselves for a reason that I don't really agree with. I don't really get it. So I think it kind of hurt the movie a little bit just on a musical moment. There's some really highlight moments for sure, including the bow pluck. It's so good. But yeah, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
I don't agree.
I know. I knew it.
I love this score, and I've listened to it probably like 100 times by now. And I don't look, I'm not saying that I wouldn't take the big sweeping score like with a full orchestra. And I do think the one thing I will agree with you is I think the rule set, like the reason why I'm like, it doesn't work because this is a modern take. Like this doesn't feel like it's not trying to be 100% historically accurate. So I think that
John Bernthal alone.
So I think like that approach to it, like I don't agree with, but I think that there's scenes in this where like there could have been a big sweeping score, but it didn't need it because the movie feels so big and the sound design is so incredible. And there's also just so like a lot of scenes in this where the score just soars way above anything that he did in the Mando movie for me. And like you're misremembering, bro. The Mando score, no matter what you think of the movie, it was dope. The Mando score's got the theme and like maybe one or two tracks,
no, dude,
including the weird like synthy thing on Space Chicago. That was cool, but like no, you're misremembering to make a point. I'm not. The Odyssey score is absolutely fantastic, and I think it's the lyre or the lute, I can't remember, but whatever the stringed instrument is that they have, like the tracks that they have for Odysseus and in Ithaca are incredible. I love the instrument starts with an A. I can't remember how you pronounce it, but it's like an ancient
Agamemnon.
Yeah, it's Agamemnon. It's an ancient like basically like a flute, but like two.
That's the thing that stands out the most of the whole score for me. It's really cool. Super cool.
Because like I've never heard anything like it before, because they like recreated this instrument to their best ability,
and it like harmonizes with itself, I guess.
Yeah. So super it's cool. Like one is like a drone, and then the other like plays the melody, and I'm like, so like the scene where he's like hunting, and like they kind of brings this theme back, but like you have that like weird like flute thing that I'm just like, oh man, I feel like I'm transported into another world, which like that really elevated it for me. And then like there's just some of the themes in this I think are fantastic, and like when he's with Calypso and you've got that great dialogue with Calypso right as he's getting his memory back.
Oh, she was great too. We forgot to mention.
Yeah, Charlize Theron was great in this. But you get when he says another name, and that's the name of the track. But you get just this sweeping moment that felt like an orchestra to me, because you've got the weird flute thing, you've got the strings, and then you've also got a choir, and the drums are like building up, and it feels like this really big moment in the music. And there's a lot of moments like that. The one thing I'll say with the score is there are a couple times where it leans maybe a little bit too much into synthy like kind of sounding stuff, which I wish there was less of that. I wish it was more like of or an organic feel. But all of the times that it actually does lean into the synthy stuff is whenever you have like the weird, like otherworldly mythical, fantastical elements, which kind of gives it like just, and especially for Agamemnon, he has like a certain like sound that plays every single time he's on screen or every single time he's mentioned. I don't know what it is about it, even though it's like this weird synthy kind of thing, it really works for me in the context of the film. But I'm not going to disagree like on everything that you're saying in terms of like, yeah, full, like I would have loved a full orchestra. Like I would have taken that 100%, but I really did love what we got with this. And like, I'm telling you, I've listened to this score so many times now that I'm like, dude, it's awesome.
Yeah, I tend to side more with Michael on this one, and I would rather have loved it without any reservation. And I think one, I will agree on that Odysseus track, that one like that plays in the flashbacks or that kind of has its reprisal with him and Penelope and stuff. Like that track is really, really beautiful and very like uniquely beautiful.
Yes.
But yeah, I wish that I'd tried to remember the specific moments, but I remember over the course of like 3 hours, they're just feeling like there were a handful of moments of like, if there were strings behind that, I would have like come out of my seat. Just things where I'm like, I want the big theme, you know, like the Fellowship has their Fellowship theme. I want Odysseus's crew theme. I want the overhead shots of the ship with something awesome. I want
give me some sea shanties.
Yeah, but just like there is a sense in which I do think this kind of score will end up feeling a little dated, in that I do like it feels like with a lot of like the art house kind of indie films, I don't know if it's a budgeting thing. It's like we can't get a full orchestra, so we're gonna do something. But I feel like right now there really is something in the water that's just like buck trend, or like buck the norm and do something weird and different. And something weird and different always ends up being weird synthy soundscape. So it's like if everybody's rebelling the exact same way, it stops feeling like rebellion, and it feels like this is just one of many from the last several years of like, it's not historically it wouldn't have been seen as like the obvious score, but the alternative to the obvious score always ends up being super synth heavy, almost more often like soundscape as opposed to melody, and like a da 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 doon doon da. Just like it's not, it's just like it's, and sometimes it does sound cool. It's like there are definitely times where I'm like, yeah, I mean it sounds pretty cool. Like I'm not anti this, but when they're walking through Hades and you're just hearing the dong 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 dong, I'm like, man, give me a cello here instead. And I'm like, oh
yeah.
So that's how I felt.
Cello.
Yeah. That's how I felt with a lot of it. So yeah, overall, like it's definitely not to say that there aren't tracks that stand out and that there aren't moments that are really good. And even the moments, like it's like, I really like this kind of food, but I absolutely love this kind of food. And so it's like, I got a lot of stuff that I did like, but there was just a sense of like, it's not even like this thing is bad. It's just that there's an alternative that I think would have been much better. So
100%. And the like I said, the reason that I feel this way is, number one, I think I have the utmost love and adoration and respect for Ludwig Göransson and his work. And he is incredible, from Black Panther to Oppenheimer to Sinners to all the Star Wars stuff is so freaking so good. And I have so because of that, I have high expectations for his scores, and they're not all going to be the same or anything like that. But the other thought is, every time Christopher Nolan works with a composer, I always feel like he pulls the absolute best out of that composer. I thought that with Oppenheimer. I thought that with Interstellar when he worked with Hans more. I thought that with, again, Hans when he did Inception. Like, there's just something about Christopher Nolan working with these composers that tends to bring those composers' best work, you know? And to me, I did feel kind of what James was saying. I felt like a lot of it, not a lot of it, there's a lot of great stuff, but some of it was a little bit at this point, because so much of Hollywood is doing these like synthy scores now. It did feel almost stock to a point. I hate to even say that, but like it did feel a little bit like copy and paste that scene from that, synth wise and stuff like that. And it just doesn't fit great with the material that we're working with here. Whereas a traditional score, I just think a traditional orchestra would have been a better choice, and at least more my speed. And I do think that Ludwig, he does have a tendency to lean into the synth, and sometimes it's perfect, but sometimes I do think it at times is a detriment, just a little bit. So I do think that's something that he does. Yeah. And I do think that it's something that as he's still a young composer, like as he does more and more work, that's what I think Oppenheimer is so freaking brilliant, is that, like, what do you remember from that score? For me, it's like a solo violin, like it's that really fast solo violin stuff. It's not big synthy stuff. It's like he is so creative and outside the box when he works with real organic instruments, and a lot of that was the case with the Odyssey, with some of the stuff that you were talking about, Drew. I really liked some of that, but if he could have just taken some of that and also just those big scenes, having a big sweeping score, I'm just telling you, it would have been another level. It would have been another level. I'm not saying that this isn't an amazing score to listen to while you drive around in your car. It probably is. That's not what a score is. A score goes to the picture that you're watching. And as a movie score for this movie, I could have used a little more of a big orchestra at times. So,
but
and
we didn't
I really
have orchestras back then.
I really hate that reasoning. It's so dumb. It's so silly. So anyway,
while we're getting our negatives out, can I get my other, like, maybe my biggest criticism?
Yeah.
I did feel like going into it, I had heard about this and I was like, well, we'll see. I don't know about that. And then I ended up actually kind of agreeing with some of the criticisms that I saw before. I do think that there are moments where dialogue is the film's weaker element. There are moments where I think it's really great. There are conversations that I think are amazing. There are lines that I think are amazing, but there are other bits that I don't really love. I'm okay. Like, I'm down for we don't have to do everybody faking a British accent. We really don't have to do that. We can do, like, hey, where are you going? I'm going up there. Like, it's, we can talk like that. But I will say that, like, it's another one where like whenever the intention is said out loud, I'm like, oh, well, you didn't achieve that for me. If the intention was like, well, they're just going to talk like people, and that's going to be more like that's going to immerse you more than if I weren't doing that. To me, they go a little bit too far, like what Michael said, like with the F off, or like whenever Matt Damon first was like, let's get off this effing beach. I'm like,
Yeah.
I felt like a little, what? Well, hold on. Armor, swords, sandals. What?
F.
Like, yeah, like there was a sense of like this, and there were just different lines throughout where I'm like, that just is not, it feels jarring. It feels weird. And I do think the movie is kind of flanked on either end by some of the more like the bigger issues for me. I do think there was a stretch of like the earlier scenes where I did get a little bit nervous because I think it starts off, and I'm not always one to just be like, well, the exposition, blah blah blah, but I do think it started off with like, my dad's coming back. Your dad's been gone for 9 years. Well, he's been gone for 9 years for the war. Remember? Ah, yes, the Trojan War. Like there is. It feels like early on there is a lot of like, let's say everything that everybody knows. Everybody in the room knows all of the things that we're talking about, and the idea of the movie is that Zeus's law is so embedded in the culture that you'd think that people wouldn't have to stop every 10 minutes to be like, remember Zeus's law says blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, I know. You say it every 10 minutes. So there is a sense of like, it's being made for an audience that doesn't know what Zeus's law is, that maybe hasn't read the Iliad, that doesn't know. And so there's a lot of like not really hidden in a conversation, but is just kind of like, well, whenever they left all those X amount of years ago for the war, and the war being the blah, 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 like it felt like there was a decent bit of that. And then on the other side, there were lines during the ending monologue that I did kind of cringe. I'm like, one of my least favorite lines. I love the idea behind it. I love the idea that the deception of the Trojan horse kind of was this era-shattering event, but the line was so on the nose that I was like, when he's like,
I feel like I remember this too.
It ended this age of bronze. And it would be like, a movie made about the end of the Middle Ages being like, we've reached the end of these Middle Ages. And like, it's to like, for him, like they didn't call their era that. So it felt really funny to me unintentionally for him to be like, the Bronze Age is done. Like, but then the whole like, civilization will come back, will rise from these tales. I just felt like we're waiting here, like, and you'll learn about it in Western Civ 1301. Wink, wink. Like it felt he was so prescient of like, civilization is built on Homer, and I am very aware of that. And the Bronze Age is ending, and I am very aware of that. And I've got the terminology that is, should be foreign to me. So that it felt very much like, there's the idea of the film. And I think the idea of the film is present within the film well enough. Like it's good. It's embedded. You put it in your movie, that we didn't need the ending to come out and say like, we collapsed the Bronze Age and darn.
Yeah.
So
I do
love
the monologue though.
Like there's generally, I do really think it's good, and the guilt he's feeling, and like to me, I almost liken it of like, if you have an idyllic neighborhood and somebody knocks on the door and is like, hey, can I borrow something? Or like, hey, I know it's late, but I'm out of blah, blah, blah. Can I come in? And you let them in out of politeness, and they like kill the family or something. The rest of the neighborhood is going to hear that. And all of a sudden, a place that used to be like no doors locked is all of a sudden all doors locked, and now the nice person who really does need something is getting a locked door, and nobody is showing hospitality because everybody's like, I don't know. we used to do this, but this thing happened and it's freaked us all out, and it's like there's no going back after that breach, everybody's on edge. And so for him to be reckoning with that, of like, people do not feel safe to practice this anymore because of our deception. Nobody wants to be the one getting bamboozled by the next Trojan horse. And so everybody's closing their doors now. And for him to feel that, I think is really good. I just think it ends up dipping way too far for me as it goes on into just Odysseus looking forward at Western Civ classes 1,000 years from that, and being like, just talking way too explicitly about it to me.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I don't feel like when I was watching the movie that I had a lot of issues with it, but there's definitely, I kind of feel this way about Nolan screenplays to begin with. That's one of my, as much as I love Christopher Nolan, some of his movies can have these moments where the exposition is so like present, and it otherwise it's kind of killing the mood of an otherwise perfect thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so
I do think generally where he kind of, his saving grace has been, he's within context where it makes sense. Like, you need to explain the rules of Inception because we have our people walking into the world, or Batman, nobody's dressed like this, but like, you need Lucius explaining to Bruce, this is how this, like, there's always a contextual reason. Whereas there were times just here where it's like, it feels like there is no contextual reason. It's just, there's a big audience that doesn't know the story, and you just have to explain it.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I think I did feel it at times for this, not enough to really dock it too much for me, but I did feel a familiar feeling, if you know what I mean. I just felt, I was like, this feels like a Nolan thing right here a little bit. And it was a little more on the nose at times than I'm used to. But again, not the biggest deal in the world to me. It never ruined anything for me, but I do remember that bronze airline being kind of funny. I do remember that too. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
But anyways, though, what a freaking movie.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good point to wrap up. So let's get those final ratings. Michael, we already got yours. So tell the audience one more time what your rating is.
I gave it ultimately 5 stars. Got those 2 criticisms there at the end. I do agree to a point with James, and then my score, my movie score issue there. But ultimately, this movie is so good on so many other levels. It seems like not that big a deal. And again, score is not bad. It's very good. It's fine. Like, it's just not what I wanted.
James, what about you?
I ultimately go 4.5. I think it's an amazing movie. And I think it's one of those ones, we talk about the interstellar dilemma. It's one of those ones where it's like, man, when this movie is at its highs, it's breathtaking. Like, there are moments where I'm like, I'm in a theater and this is happening on screen, and it's this crazy. Like, just the magic of being there and seeing so much of what was accomplished is incredible. I do end up just between the score, between just feeling some dialogue throughout that didn't quite work. And I think Agamemnon and Menelaus are big enough that, like, the fact that both performances ring a little bit weird for me and don't quite work. Like, there's enough little things that kind of accumulate into, like, it doesn't feel virtually perfect in the way that I think, like, the ones from him that, like, hover at my number one do, where I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, if you got a gun in my head, like, just pull the trigger. I'm not going to think of anything, man. And I don't feel that quite with this one, but it is still just an absolute, like, incredible piece of filmmaking.
The interstellar conundrum is such a fun part of our history.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, honestly, that I reached the point in that conundrum where I was like, you know what, screw it, 5 stars.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, this movie makes me feel things I don't think I can ever feel with anything else.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I definitely, even though I don't fully agree with the score, because I do love this score, even though I do have some common ground on what you guys are talking about. And then also the dialogue, I can definitely see where you're coming from, James. I don't fully agree on all of the criticisms. Although I definitely see where you guys are coming from with a lot of it. But ultimately, the things that like I could criticize don't really have enough weight to it to really affect what I think of this movie. So it's an easy 5-star for me. Now, where does it rank on the Nolan scale? I don't know, because I gotta rewatch this thing like 4 more times, maybe 5 more times before I can really be like, okay, it's gonna be here or here or here, because
Do you
it
have
is a 5-star.
Do you have a range? Like, do you think you have a range of where it might be? Do you think it's top 5?
I think it has the potential. I think it has the potential, but I really do have to rewatch it a few more times before I can like confidently say that. But I mean, I do have a lot of Nolan films at 5 stars, but not all of them are. Not all of them are. So I'm like, it's in that range of like it could slip into the top 5 for me. I don't know, because I really did love this a lot, but I got to rewatch it.
Yeah.
So eventually, someday on the pod, hopefully, I can give
we should do
Nolan
a Nolan
ranking.
We should do a Nolan ranking pod. That'd be really
fun.
That would a 5-hour conversation.
It's insanely difficult to rank his movies.
Oh yeah, harder than most directors for me.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, it feels special that we all got to see this and talk about it pretty close to when our first episode of the pod released a few years ago, which was Interstellar. So
Interstellar, yep.
Yeah, kind of feels like everything has come full circle in that way. But yeah, I had a great time talking about this. So feels good to be back on the pod. Hopefully we can do it again real soon. Despite the craziness that all 3 of us have been dealing with lately, just in our lives. But yeah, go help get this movie to the 1 billion, and maybe even well past that, because projecting like 1 point. Yeah, let's get it a trillion. This is going to be the second $1 trillion movie, right behind Morbius.
What?
Oh man. Anyways, though, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to give us the 5-star on your favorite platforms. Join our Facebook group, which is Banter Fodder Film and Television Discussion Group, which you can find in the description below. Until next time, support your local theaters, get some concessions, all that good stuff, and we'll see y'all next time.